Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about how to get a 3 chest in a Mythic Plus every single time. Now by far this is one of the easiest ways to level up and get high item level gear just by doing regular content that's accessible to everyone. So let's go over some prerequisites. What do you need? First, you need some gear. You need to be doing your world quests, you need to be doing regular heroics and regular mythic dungeons before you step in and try to do a 3 chest mythic. Now if you're trying to do a +2 dungeon and trying to get 3 chests at it, your DPS has to be about 200k minimum. If you do have one DPS that lacks that damage, then you need to get someone else that's higher so you can get a nice average out of about 200k per person. Every level of mythic that you bump up, expect about a 15k damage upgrade. So if you're doing a +3 and want to do 3 chests, about 215k damage per person is needed. Now your tank and your healer should be well geared as well. They actually probably need to out item level your DPS by a little bit, just because chain pulling takes a lot out of the tank and a lot out of the healer. If you're doing a +2 and want to get 3 chests, I would suggest about an 835 item level, and every time you bump up +1 mythic and try to do 3 chests, I would suggest a +5 item level bump up. Something else that you do need to know, everybody here needs to manage their cooldowns well. You don't need to save your cooldowns for bosses just because timed mythic plus runs are more about trash and managing trash efficiently than they are about the boss fights. Something for every tank to keep in mind is that you should not stop being in combat unless your healer has really low mana. If you're going to pull one pack of trash, if your healer has over 15% mana, you're good, you're in the clear, keep pulling. If you're going to pull a boss, if your healer has over 40% mana, you're good, you're in the clear, go ahead and pull that boss. If you need a little bit more in-depth analysis on how to chain pull and how to just stay in combat at all times, you can go ahead and check out my how to chain pull video. I'm going to go ahead and link it here. Something else to note about chain pulling is that if the mobs don't hit too hard, you can actually chain pull and stack pulls at the same time. You can pull 2 packs of mobs at the exact same time as long as you manage your cooldowns well. Something you should be doing with your bigger pulls is, of course, like I mentioned before, using all your cooldowns, and your DPS should be helping you out by also stunning all the mobs. Something that I don't see a lot of DPS do is in Mythic Plus, especially when you're trying to do chest runs, every second counts. As much as you don't want your DPS to die and go down, if your DPS does go down, they should automatically just release and run back, just because that res time could be spent pulling another pack and you still have 4 people alive that can still be pulling packs and taking them down while the other person runs back. Another good tip is to have certain add-ons. Angry Keystones is a very good one that helps out when you're doing chest runs, especially once you start getting to higher plus difficulties. You also have to remember as a tank not to overpull. Sure, you want to chain pull, you want to stay in combat at all times, but you don't want to pull 3, 4, or 5 packs and then go down to that. Every death is detrimental here because it subtracts 5 seconds from your timer and also the run back time to where you were. You get the same reward if you get 3 chests with 1 minute to spare than 3 chests with 5 minutes to spare. So learn to pace yourself and learn to space things out. If you have already been running 3 chest runs, you should basically know at what boss you should be at. So you should know in something like an HOV, you should get to the first boss within 3 minutes or 4 minutes. You should get to the second boss within 5 to 7 minutes. All of these checkpoints will help you time your run a little bit better. So really, if you want to get 3 chests every single time, it's all about staying in combat, chain pulling, and making sure your team is prepared for it. If your team has damage that's very low, if your healer is not adequately geared, you will go down just because you're taking damage for too long or your healer can't out heal the damage. Just make sure you know what your group is capable of. A +2 with 3 chests is not that difficult for most people, and you should be able to make that happen in just about every dungeon. Remember, 200k DPS average at a +2 level and bump up 15k every time you go up a level. 835 item level minimum for a +2, and you should bump up +5 every time you bump up a mythic difficulty. And keep an eye on your healer's mana. That is very important. And if you have a mage, make sure your healer has enough water to get very fast sips for mana efficiency. I hope this helps out a bit. I know that getting 3 chest runs is very common now, especially if you're doing a +2, but what I see less and less of is people doing +5 with 3 chest run, +6 with 3 chest run. Hopefully this helps you adequately gauge where your team is and what you can really push and the boundaries that you guys are going to be able to do. Just because 3 chest runs, again, very easy to level up, best way to get new gear. You're getting 3 pieces of gear for every 1 run you're doing. I highly suggest trying out a 3 chest run if you have not, and make sure you know what your team can do. If I get into a run that wants to be a 3 chest run, but I see my DPS isn't even pulling 200k, I'll let them know that we're probably not going to make it. I'll pace myself and I'll stretch the group out as much as I can. However, going down and taking that death penalty can be more detrimental. It can turn what people wanted to be a 3 chest run into a 1 chest run, or into a wipe where people just leave and you end up with a depleted keystone. It's better to keep things in mind and keep a good clear vision of what you're going to do. So again, follow these rules and you'll be on your way to be able to gauge every team that you're on to know exactly what you can do. Thank you guys for watching and good luck out there.